So, man, last week we had an incredible episode. Over 400 views in a week. We haven't done that before on YouTube. So,
Whose podcast was that?
was it this one? Actually, surprisingly, this episode did a lot with numbers. So thank you guys for watching. You guys haven't checked it out. It is still available and it will continue to be available. So thank you guys for watching. We really do appreciate it. And with that in mind, I just had to do a follow-up. I just had to do a follow-up on Confessions of Business Owners. But more so, this time I want Confessions of Business Owners.
So dodgy, John.
Business owners are dodgy people. He walked into that. So after that last episode, I imagine that, a lot of people listened to it. They viewed it and thought, that's exactly where I am. I don't trust my team. Money comes in, but it disappears. I cannot switch off. It's nothing new. So here's the question. If you already know this, why hasn't anything changed? See, these aren't new problems. Most business owners have been sitting in them for months, if not years. Same frustrations, same conversations, same patterns. Spoken to the team, looked at the numbers, told yourself things need to change, and yet nothing really moves. So, Barry, if someone can clearly see the problem in the business, why do they stay stuck in it?
Interesting words. If they can clearly see the problem, they can't.
Okay.
So, if I'm overweight,
yes,
I can see I'm overweight.
Yes.
But whether I'm prepared to do something about it is a very different thing.
Okay, fair enough.
And how I do something about it and what I do about it is a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we get stuck in the habits of doing what we do. And business is no different because we run our business and we look at our bank account and our bank account has no money and our team is not doing what they're doing. But in order to change that, we have to make the conscious decision now to change ourselves. And therein lies the hard part. So you can take that into any area of life.
Yeah.
But therein lies the hard part because, when I sit with business owners and they go, yes, I know that. I'm like, okay, you know about that or you actually know that. So
Sorry, what's the difference there?
Well, knowing it is the application of doing something about it.
Okay.
So knowing about it, I know about it. I know that my team's not performing. Okay, great. Versus I can see my team's not performing. What are the action steps that I'm going to do to get them to perform? And how are we going to change it? And over what period of time are we prepared to work on it to make that happen?
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Because we get comfortable. We get comfortable in doing the things that we do. Sometimes, I've often said that comfort and happiness don't necessarily go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
You can be very comfortable and unhappy.
Yeah.
And you can be uncomfortable and happy. But so in our business, we get comfortable because that's what happens. And we go from 1 week to 1 month to 1 month to 1 year to another year, looking back, hoping things are going to change. That's the mistake of a lot of people. I hope it's going to change. I hope the economy is going to. No, you've got to take very deliberate, very specific, very clear action in order to change it. That's the story in Get Moving to Greatness is really that. It's the story of two entrepreneurs who find themselves stuck, who find themselves in a position that they knew their team was not performing and they weren't creating the results they wanted to create. But they didn't really know how to get out of it. They knew they were in that situation, but they didn't really know how to get out of it. They had some ideas how to get out of it. And it was easier unconsciously, subconsciously to stay where they were at versus actually making a conscious decision of what are we going to do to get out of this? Because when we make the conscious decision of what are we going to do to get out of this, now it's going to take some form of investment. Not only investment in money, but it's going to take investment in time, investment in energy, investment in knowledge. We're going to have to start investing in moving into a different direction.
So would you say that the staying stuck in the knowing that there's a problem is a choice? Like I'm choosing to stay in this.
Well, sometimes it's a subconscious choice.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, if I'm unfit, I know I'm unfit.
Yeah.
The question is what are the choices I'm going to make? Because I can feel I'm unfit. I can walk upstairs and go, man, you know, I used to be fit and I used to be able to get up these stairs. So consciously I can think about it. Well, now if I'm conscious about it, now I have to ask myself the question, or I can ask myself, do I want to do something about it? Yes or no? The problem is doing something about it is going to be a lot harder than doing nothing about it. Because doing nothing about it, I can justify the position I'm in. I can find reasons why I'm not fit. I can, you know, in our terminology, and as I can go below the line and not take responsibility, I can make excuses, justify, deny, blame, do all that sort of stuff and stay where I'm at. The reality is not going to change anything, and it'll create different types of consequences.
Yeah.
Whereas when I have to now step into a new realm and take responsibility, because that's what you have to do in your business. Is your bank account's empty. Well, you're either going to take responsibility or you're not going to take responsibility. You can make all the excuses in the world, but your bank account's still friggin' empty.
Yeah.
So if you want to fill your bank account up, well, what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to sell. If you have nothing to sell, well, you better get out and find something to sell. If you're not good at sales, well, you're going to have to invest in learning how to sell. Those are hard. They're simple things to do, but they're hard steps to take because it requires a shift in energy. It requires a shift in decision making. It requires a shift in the direction that we're going, with no guarantee that we're going to get what we want. Okay. What I do know is that there will be a change. Something will change. But if you don't do it, well, something will change, but it'll change for the worse. Your bank account will get worse. So often it's easier for people to stay in that space because you don't have to make a conscious decision to shift your energy and your effort. You know,
yeah.
Does that make sense? And that's why people stay there, because it's taking responsibility takes a certain level of effort. So it's much easier to justify why your business sucks, why I'm not getting what I want, why my team's not performing, why we're not making money, why, and then justify it, like I said, through making excuses, through blaming the economy, the government, everything else. That's going below the line. The hard game is actually to take responsibility. It's to step above the line and say, stuff this. I'm not prepared to have this anymore.
Why is that so hard? To take that responsibility, to say that, look, I'm not gonna, the excuses are there. I feel like the excuses are easy, right? It's easy to make an excuse. It's easy to go, it's the government's fault, it's the economy, it's the way, you know.
Well, when you go, that's all negative. It's all negative thinking. Mm-hmm. Moving into a negative energy takes way less effort and energy than it does moving positive.
Okay.
You know, just take it. If you standing around a braai talking to people, and take note when someone starts talking about the negative things, how bad stuff is, how quickly and easy it is for people to go to that space.
Oh yeah, super simple.
Versus when you start talking about something positive, how much harder it is to take people along there.
Oh yeah, I mean, those people will. There's a lot more pushback on that. So
yeah,
there's a lot more of a challenge when you're speaking about things positively. Oh, the country is. Oh, this is working, and that.
100%.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to work so much harder to move in that direction, which means it's much easier to move in the other direction. And that's the same in business, the same in life. So to move the needle in a positive direction takes way more effort and energy. And people just don't want to put in that effort and energy. In today's world, we just got to the stage where we just want to have all we want to have because we want to have it. And then when we can't have it, we justify why we can't have it. But we're not prepared to do what it takes. You know, that's why I love the description from Alan C. Walter around success. Success is the ability to find a want and then do what is needed to be done to achieve it.
Yeah.
Okay. And most people don't want to do what is that. Therein lies the problem. They don't want to do what is needed. They can sit, they look at their life, they go, my life sucks, or my business sucks, or my bank account sucks, or my team sucks, or I'm not getting what I want. They can look and say, okay, that's what I want to have. But then when it goes to, I have to do what's needed to be done to change it. Therein lies the problem. I don't want to do it. Why? Because all the stuff like our little voices, emotions, because that's the hard part. That's the hard journey. Getting through those obstacles between where I am and where I want to be. That's the hard part. And it's not going to happen overnight. I want more money. Great. Well, what do you need to do to make more money? Get up and sell something. Well, when you're in debt, you want to fix the problem today because you want to get out of the problem. Very often the problem can't be fixed today. It takes time to fix it. So you have to put in, and people don't want to put in the time.
So if I'm a business owner, I'm just addicted to this and I'm going, okay, cool. I'm done with the excuses. My business is failing. And funny enough, I'm saying this because this is in terms of the lead generation that we do now, I have very specific, clear questions that I'm asking people. And I honestly feel like probably like 30% of the leads that have come in so far, or at least last week, was speaking around, if I don't turn things around, my business is done.
Yeah.
If people are sitting in that position right now, I'm listening to this. How am I overcoming those obstacles? Because I'm sitting and I'm going, man, I owe people, I'm behind, but I want to get to here, right? I just want to clear things up. How do I do that?
So step one is you got to own the position you're in.
What does that mean?
So, well, you got to own, I'm in this position. I owe people money. I'm in debt. I have no money. Da. Great. So you got to own that position. That's where I sit, because it is what it is. You can hide away from it, but it's still there. It
still exists.
So, like that analogy I use, you can be an ostrich and shove your head in the sand, and hope that when you pull it out, it's going to go away. Well, it's not going to go away.
Yeah.
And the reality is everyone around you can really see what's going on. And when an ostrich sticks its head in the sand, its ass goes in the air. Everyone that walks past can see the asshole.
Yes.
And that's what happens in business and in life. We hide away from things, and everyone can see you being the asshole.
Yeah.
And until you're prepared to step in and go, okay, it is what it is. So the first step is you got to own the problem that you have. You got to own the problem. Say, this is where I sit. Right, I'm in debt. Okay, so that's how I owe people money. Great. Excuse me. So I owe people money. Great. So sit down and go, who do I owe people money to? How much do I owe? And what's my level of debt?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now you are clear. And don't hide away from stuff. Well, no. Write it all down. Okay, good. Now you know where you sit.
Yeah.
Now you've taken ownership of the position you're in. Now you can start taking action. There's a lot of different types of action you can take. But one action, for example, now you can pick up the phone and I can say, hey, Suri, Barry here. First of all, I apologize that I've been hiding away from you.
Mm.
Okay, so now I'm moving above the line. I'm taking responsibility. I apologize that I've been hiding away from you. I need to address the situation that I'm in. I owe you money. And I do know that you've been chasing me, and I do know that you expect me to pay you immediately. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, Suri, I don't have any money at the moment, but I have a game plan to sort it out. So I would like to sit down with you and chat to you about a game plan that I have that I can pay it off to you over the next 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, whatever it is. Well, now I'm taking responsibility. Now I'm sitting down saying, this is what I can do. Well, if I owe you money and I'm now addressing it and taking responsibility, would you be more prepared to help me solve the problem than not?
No, I'll be more prepared.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, but what do people do? They hide away from that.
Yeah.
They're running away from that. They make excuses. They do a whole bunch of stuff. Those things eventually have consequences. And they will have negative consequences that may not come from the person that you have the problem with, but they'll come from somewhere else. Does that make sense? So you sit down. You can do that in any area. I don't have enough sales. I'm not bringing in enough income. Great. Sit down. Weigh it up. Where are we sitting? What's our level of sales? What are the activities we're doing and not doing? What do we need to do? How do we need to address it? Great. Then sort out an action plan.
Yeah.
No. It's not going to change tomorrow just because you decided to have more sales. Tomorrow, suddenly you're not going to do it. But over a period of time, it'll start getting better.
Yeah.
And as it starts getting better, you can start addressing the other problems. And I think that's the key deal. Is the first step is you got to acknowledge where you sit, and then you got to take responsibility for where you sit, And then from there, you can create the action plan. Then you take responsibility for creating the action plan. Now, the action plan doesn't guarantee you results.
Of course.
But what I will tell you, it'll guarantee you different results.
Yeah.
And once you start moving into the different results, you can start making different decisions.
Damn. Ooh. That's quite solid, actually. I'm not that. I'm just taken aback. Sometimes you just need to pause a little bit, and people say intelligent things.
First time you ever accused me of being intelligent.
Yeah, it was a mistake. Never happening again. Okay. So something you had mentioned earlier, right? Around the negative positive. As a business owner, I'm very clear that I have. Actually, I'm not clear. I'm not clear that I had negative people in my business. When I say things like, guys, we get ourselves up on the, we need to just drive high levels of accountability. I get the excuses, blah, 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 blah. I view that as I have negative people. But do I actually have negative people? Or do I have people who have no clue what they actually meant to be doing?
Well, I think it's when you're working with people, there's so many variables that can come in play that you got to manage those variables.
Yeah.
And those variables come in the form of emotions, largely come in the form of emotions, and come in the form of behaviors, attitudes, mindsets, all those type of things. So, yeah, your team may be negative. The question is why are they negative? How do you want them to operate? What environment are you creating so that you can get them to operate in the mindset and have the attitude that you desire?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, in our team, are we negative at times? Of course we are. You and I sit down. I'll say to you, "What's happening?" You'll have a negative. Doesn't mean you're a negative person, but in that moment you have negative energy.
Yeah.
So the key component is I don't want that to continue with you.
Yes.
So what am I doing to help you move through that? What am I doing now? If you cannot move through that over a period of time, you're going to pull the rest of the team down. Well, the ultimate thing is that you're going to have to step out of the team and move on and go find another team to play.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, an area that often we are missing in teams is focusing on, especially as business owners and leaders, managers, people building teams, driving teams, is focus on building an environment that cultivates the attitudes and the mindsets and the behaviors that you want. What is the expected attitude that you require? And how do you want people to behave?
Yeah.
So when you are coming to work, what's the expected behaviors? We all have shitty days. We all have shitty weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The question is when you're having a shitty week, well, you still have to deliver.
You do?
It's very simple. You can have a shitty week. I mean, I go back to 2014. I had a really shitty quarter. My dad was in ICU for a quarter.
Mm.
My business still had to go on.
Crazy.
Does that make sense? It is and going through what I went through for that quarter with my family on that side was tough. But as a business owner, my business still had to go on. My team still had to be paid. We still had to close deals. I still had obligations to fulfill with the bank. I had loans to pay. I had obligations to fulfill with suppliers and customers. So when I was working, what were the behaviors that I needed to adopt? What was the mindset I needed to have when I was doing what I was doing?
Yeah.
And, in that time when I was out working, I was very clear that my personal situation would not cloud my business situation. There's certain behaviors that I operate by. For example, I didn't seek pity from people I was working with. Many people wouldn't have even known that my dad was sick. Why? Because I didn't tell them. But why? Because it had no, this is just how I operate, but it had no bearing, or it had no need to be put in that space.
Yeah.
So I didn't put it in that space. You know, to some of my clients, when they found out afterwards, they're like, why didn't you tell us? I was like, there was no need for me to tell you. Because I didn't need your sympathy. I didn't need anything else. I was focused on what we were doing, and it would have just clouded the situation.
100%.
And so that comes back to mindset. What's the mindset that you're cultivating for yourself? What's the mindset that you're cultivating for your team? So I now can operate like that. When you come in and we're working, and I know maybe you're going through a tough family thing, I can say to you, Sudi, I feel for you, bud. I understand. But right now we're in this seminar. We're doing the seminar. We have to deliver on our clients. What can you do about your family situation? Nothing. Good. So let's park it over there. It doesn't mean it's not important, but it doesn't need to come in the space, because right now let's just focus on what we have to do.
Don't need to shut you down completely.
And if you can't focus on what you do, then maybe you should take a couple of weeks leave and go sort your family stuff out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you come in and you're sitting at the back of our seminar. Well, what you're actually doing is you pull the whole team's energy down, you pull everyone's energy down, and that's not what's needed. That doesn't make sense. And I'll say it again. It doesn't mean that your personal problem is not important.
Yes.
It just doesn't need to come into that space right now. And that's mindset. You get that? That's mindset. You take that into any extreme environment. You know, Formula One. Okay, those guys racing around the track are not thinking about the personal problems they may have at home, or the girlfriend that's about to dump them, or the stupid decision they made in buying the latest sports car. Does that make sense? Because in that moment they cannot afford, because it's life or death.
You will die.
You get that? Take a soldier in the moment of battle. It needs to be able to compartmentalize their life and go, that part of my life is not part of what I'm doing right now. I need to get very present.
So those guys can lose their best friend right here, right now.
You still have to keep going.
Gotta keep going.
So when you look at it, the more heat and pressure that you're going to withstand, and business is heat and pressure. The bigger the level of emotional intelligence you have to be able to cultivate for yourself, the bigger the being you have to be able to come, because that's the obstacles that you're going to have to get through. And so it's working through these things. It's being able to take responsibility of where I'm at right now and what I need to do. And does it always work out perfectly? Definitely not. You know, I know I've had a number of times over the years, and you've been party to it, where I've walked in and lost my shit in a meeting.
Yeah.
And then gone, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, well, I did. Great. I'm going to apologize. We're going to work through it. No problem. But 90% of the time, it had nothing to do with what's happening in the business. It had to do with other stuff that was bothering me. And it was just great. Okay, that happens.
It's a person.
You get it.
It's going to happen.
100%. It's human.
Happy.
Okay. But the reality is the more I work on myself, the less it happens, the more disciplined I become, the more in control of me I become, that I don't allow those things to detract from there's a wonderful saying I love, keep the main thing in all areas of life. But so many people, and that's the problem in business, is too many people are lost in the wrong things without keeping the main thing, when the main thing needs to be the main thing.
Yeah, and when you're saying that, I just thought about, if I remember, I think it was last year's UGE, and you decided to wrestle your pit bull Bella, and you had fallen and scraped yourself. Good, it was last year.
Yeah, last year's UGE, yeah.
Good and solid, like
yeah, taking all the skin off my knees.
Skinned you. But for 5 freaking days, you still wait. Non-stop. Never. People ask you about it. Yeah, this happened. You never made it a thing. You never put it in the space. You never brought it into the room and made a thing and went, sorry guys, my knees are a little bit sore at the moment because I got scraped and the thing that I'm putting on is not working. So can we just not for the next hour not do the session? You just kept going.
Because it has no relevance to what I was doing. And it's the least important thing.
And that's an important thing to have, like the as a leader, because you're leading that group, you're leading the 5 days. It's important. Your mindset has to be at that level, right? Like, and I think this is something that's important. I'm not saying that another business owner who's watching this needs to have that mindset. I'm not saying that at all. That's you. That's your unique.
No, I see. I would disagree with that. I think the bigger the game you're going to play, that's the mindset you have to have, because you've got to be able to keep the main thing the main thing. Okay. The reality is that every day in our 5-day program we exercise.
Every day.
Great. So I had sore knees. I still exercised. Why? Because the main thing is the way that program runs and how I operate in that program, and my participation in that program is way more important than my scraped knees. And in those moments, I just need to suck it up. Then does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so it's that's the ability to grow your mind, your mindset, your being. That's discipline. All those type of things. It didn't mean my knees weren't sore. What it meant is, well, I had to make a decision in that moment. Either I'm going to do it or I'm not going to do it. If I couldn't do it, well, then I should have pulled out.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Then do it half-assed. And look. Part of me is I'm not a big one for looking for sympathy. No. So if I put it in that space, for me, it's looking for sympathy. It's irrelevant. I'm here. So let's actually just not talk about it. Let's focus on what we need to focus on. And actually then it becomes irrelevant. If we're talking about those things, well, guess what we talk about? Does that make sense? And you can take that into all context of your team. And that's one of the reasons why I love sports so much, is you're playing in a World Cup. Okay. I don't know, World Cup rugby. Cool. And you've been through a tough, you've lost someone in your family. Okay. So let's say you lost your dad. And in the last week, your dad passed away. But it's World Cup.
Now,
and you've been focused on getting to the World Cup, and your dad supported you to get to the World Cup. Great. Well, when you're in the middle of the scrum, are you going to be leaning against someone saying, "Oh, I can't push because, my dad died"? Well, then you mustn't get on the field.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that no one has feeling for your dad. I have lots of empathy. I feel for you. But in this moment, dude, what are we doing? You need to be able to harness your dad's memory and turn it into positivity rather than negativity. Does that make sense? I'm actually on this field playing for my dad's memory. Yeah. I'm on my field doing this. I mean, I did over the weekend, I did a High Rocks in Cape Town. And my partner, who I did it with, his dog died. But how's this, man? He was on a trail run with his dog, and his dog had a seizure. And he had to pick his dog up and run back down the trail with his dog. And by the time he got back, it was too late, and he lost his dog.
Why would you tell such a sad story?
Because he could have phoned me and said, "Barry, I can't do the High Rocks. My dog died, da-da-da-da-da." You know what? He rocked up, and on his hand, he had written Roxy. That was his dog's name. And he was like, "Dude, I'm doing this for my flipping dog, Roxy. We're going to run the shit out of this bloody thing." Because Roxy loved to run. I was like, wow. And you know what? We had so much fun. And not once did he, mope or do anything. And it was, you see, what he did is he took that negative situation and focused on the main thing was the main thing. He was there. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then used that negative situation to rechannel it into a positive outcome. It did not mean that the sadness of losing his dog had gone. And that's the same in business. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's why, Sui, working on our mindset is this working, not talking about mindset.
Yeah.
Too many people talk about mindset. Working on your mindset, working on expanding your level of emotional intelligence, becoming tougher, physically, emotionally, mentally tougher. Mental toughness is the number one, in my opinion, the number one thing that will allow you to grow a bigger business. Mental toughness. You have to be mentally friggin' tough.
Yeah.
People talk, "I'm going to be a millionaire," and they get the first and sign of pain. It's unfair. Oh, suck it up. Get a life, man. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's freaking tough. You know, any business owner, and I've had the wonderful ability of dealing with some amazing, highly successful business owners. They are tough. They can stand in the heat.
Yeah, I mean, I just think of, I won't say that name, I just think of three. And every time I've interacted with them, I'm always like, I get why you guys get along with Barry. Because you guys have that loose switch, which is just run through the wall and we'll figure it out. That's what all we do.
Well, when you see the wall, you got to get through the wall.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't really know how to do it.
Mm.
And sometimes you're going to get injured on the way. But the more experience you have and the more you learn and the more you understand that, it is going to get tough, Sui. And many people want to build a business, but they don't want the hard. They don't want the toughness that's going to push through. It's like this world tells us, oh, just have a great business idea, go borrow some money from the bank. What a friggin' joke anyway. Go borrow some money from the bank. They'll give you some money on your wonderful business plan. And 1 year later, you follow these 27 steps, you're going to be a multimillionaire. What a load of bullshit.
On the yachts.
Because that's not how it works. Because it's the 15, 10, 15, 20, 25 years of friggin' grind, of pushing through, of making mistakes, of things not working, of being tougher, of getting it out, of learning, of pushing back, of standing up again, getting back, standing up again, going through the failures, never quitting. That's the toughness. Because that's what makes you tougher, to eventually get to a goal going, man.
And when you say getting tougher, being tougher, both mentally and physically, from the mental aspect, you're not talking about being an asshole, right? You don't have to, being tough does not mean that you have to bulldoze people, if I'm understanding.
No, you don't, look, you choose how you're going to do it. No, being tough for me is in the heat of the moment. Can you stand in the heat? Can you push through?
Mm.
And that it's at all various levels. When you start your business, the heat in the moment is, I need to find money. How am I going to find money? I need to find something to sell. Well, I don't want to sell that. Well, tough shit. I need to sell those things in order to generate money to fund what I want to do. So guess what? I better get out and go sell. Well, I don't like knocking on doors. Tough shit. Go knock on doors. That doesn't make sense. But we get into this. I don't like doing that, so I'm not going to do it. I want to have what I want to have, but I'm not going to do what I don't like doing.
Yes.
But you must still, that's not how it works.
No.
You get that. You got to do the things that are needed to be done to get what you want. How do you find out what's needed to be done? Go find other people who've done it. And then you're going to be tough enough to go do it. And as the game grows, well, you have to be tough enough to take on new challenges. And that's the journey of growth that most people in business don't want to do. And then you go the other way. Well, you have to be tough to put up with the shit that you're putting up with.
Yeah.
To putting up the things that are not working. Shoot, both of them are hard.
Yeah.
An empty bank account's hard, a full bank account's hard. Well, what's hard is filling up your bank account.
Yeah, it is.
You better choose the hard. Because when your bank account is empty, what is hard is managing your life while you have no money. Or managing your business while you have no money. Getting to have money, that's hard. Because you have to get out and sell. Well, choose your heart. It comes back to like being fit. You know, being fat and overweight is hard. I know, I've been there. It's hard. You lack energy. You're not operating at the level you could be operating at. Well, that's hard. It is. Well, to go from there to get fit is hard. To get your butt up in the morning and run and eat healthy and manage what you're eating, that is hard. Once you get to that level, well, now you're going to maintain it. That's not that hard anymore. It's called discipline and maintenance. Yeah. Does it make sense?
It's sort of like just a different level of hard.
So it's a new. There's that wonderful saying of choose your heart.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And once you push through that hard, I mean, I did my first individual high rocks, and that was hard. For me, it was hard, but I pushed through it. I finished. That was my goal. I finished. And now I've done it. Now I go, okay, well, I've done it once. Now I know the hard.
Yeah.
Now I can decide if I'm going to do a hand choice or a choice that already. But now I know what type of hard I'm going to choose. Now I make the choice. And that's the same as you push through. You get bigger. You grow your capacity. You know, that's the one thing I'm spending a lot of time with the business owners I'm working in is are you growing your capacity? Are you growing your team's capacity? Are you growing your ability to create more, to be more, to not necessarily do more, but achieve more by doing less of the right things? You know, do less of the wrong things and more of the right things at a much higher level of intensity, at a much higher level of focus, at a much higher level of discipline, and your results will change. But that's hard.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
100%. Toof. You're not going to see this on LinkedIn. Tell you that. Maybe their LinkedIn's going to tell you that running for this is hard. Or you have to be tough through analysis. They're going to tell you that it's euphoric time.
No, they're going to tell you, go get an MBA and get all the 27 key things on how to run a business, and it'll all work out. It's not how it friggin' works.
Go get funding.
Go get funding from who?
No, from the bank. That's what that's all I believe. This is, and so the reason why I've enjoyed this conversation and just kind of the feeling that you've read it is literally that I do not feel right now in this day and age, especially in South Africa, that people who are looking at starting businesses or people who are in businesses, who own businesses currently, aren't hearing stuff like this. They know that this is the truth, but it's easier for me to choose the euphoric side of it, right? To go on LinkedIn and get the inspiration.
But then I can blame why it doesn't work.
100%.
You know, why the bank won't pay me money? Why the bank turned me down because, I don't know, my cell phone bill was $300 overpaid.
Well, the guru told me I should go get the money from the bank. The LinkedIn guru told me that, bro. What do you want me to do?
You know, write a 57-page business plan that, I don't know, generally your banker doesn't even understand. And then they're going to turn you down. Now, I'm not saying that's in all cases, but no, it's not that easy. It's not easy. It's damn friggin' hard. And if you want to get a loan from the bank, well, you got to find, you got to make sure that you get done what they want you to get done.
And you have to understand what you're taking.
And you have to understand their rules, and you have to and you better go play their game. And if you can't play their game, but you still want to get funding, you better find another way to get it.
Yes, sir.
It's the way it works. Don't sit there and complain that it's unfair that I don't have this certificate, or I don't have that, or, well, you don't have it. Well, guess what? We'll find another way around it. Because that's always the challenge, is what's the way around it? There's many ways, you know, there's many ways to get things done. The question is, how solution orientated are you, and can you push through what you need to push through? You know, you can look at the greatest stories in the world. They're all stories of overcoming adversity. They're all stories. A fairy tale would not be a friggin' fairy tale if the youngest prince didn't have to
do some things.
Kill the dragon or slay the friggin'...
It will be a short fairy tale. He rocked up, he achieved his goal, and he left.
rocked up, put on a Gucci suit, jumped in his Ferrari, and the princess fell in love and they drove away. A cup, man. But that's how people think you're going to run a business. I rock up, have a great business plan, walked into the bank, charming prince gave me a friggin' loan, I put it into practice, now I'm a millionaire. What? What a load of shit. No, it is. It's absolute BS. I got to work through the grind of finding out what I don't know, finding out what I do know, applying what I do know, moving to the next level, and we all walk different journeys. We all have different things we have to get through. And it is damn friggin' tough.
Yeah, I mean, as you said that, I just thought of a comment that somebody left on our page. I can't remember his name. I do apologize with that. But what he said is, I resonate so much with what you're saying as somebody who has started 7 to 8 businesses that have failed.
Yeah.
You know how tough that is? 7 or 8 businesses that have failed, and to get up and go again.
Well, in 20 years of this business, how many times have we failed? Oof. But you get it. But we get up and do it again. Why? Because stuff happens. If stuff comes at you, things don't work, deals don't come through, and it's your ability to move to the next level. And the question is are you getting the lessons or aren't you getting the lessons? How are you getting the lessons? Where are you moving to the next? It is tough. And people don't want the hard.
No.
It is hard. It doesn't mean hard is not bad. No, and that's the difference. Is there's a difference between hard and bad. Hard's not bad. Hard's hard.
Hard's hard. Yeah.
And how friggin' tough are you?
Yeah, bad.
We're just I don't know. I just think in this world today we are getting so friggin' soft, man. We're soft.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite movies is 300 with the Spartans. The Spartans are friggin', those were men, man. Those were friggin', they were tough, but they were built tough, designed to be warriors. And their women were designed to breed warriors. That was the culture that they lived in.
Yeah.
They were friggin' tough. Look at us today. I mean,
Even the women raised those warriors, man.
goodness me, we get upset because, I don't know, someone forgot to put toilet paper in our company loo and
Lose my shit.
good.
See you guys next week.